All right, here we go. So here's my MOWG-Pro, and in the root, there you see the template, and that's for MOWGPro.com. And then in this MOWG-Pro, it's a subdomain, but in the root of that domain also is my template file. Now, if I create a project and it creates a new folder, of course, called Internet Marketing, right? That's really where everything is supposed to go. Then I would need, because this needs to link properly, I could do this. Say I had this somewhere on my computer, and I probably do. So let me just put it down here real quick. Won't take long. And I could put it inside my Internet Marketing folder. Upload. So I do have a copy inside my Internet Marketing folder. Now, for those of you with multiple things, right? Maybe you have more than just a template folder. You've got an images folder, a CSS folder, a bunch of stuff. Just download all of them and then just go inside your new folder that you just created for your subdomain and upload all of them, right? And that way you have them all in the new place. That's one way to deal with it, right? Because now you would make all that stuff match. As a matter of fact, if I did it right, if I was in the right place, and I'm not in the right place, and why not? Internet dash advertising. I'm sorry, and that points at internet dash advertising. So let me just rename this to be correct. I think that's the association I made in my account when I set up the subdomain earlier. So now let me make sure that works. Yes, it does. That was it. Okay, so not only are all my links pointing at the subdomains, which is awesome, except I did not upload the web pages yet, but you see, it's the subdomain.mowg-pro.com / whatever the index page would have been in here. Obviously, that's what it would be, except I didn't upload the pages yet, right? But all the images and stuff are able to find what they need to find, and that's sort of embedded in, here's an image, properties. The other one was embedded CSS, but there you go. Internet-advertising-mowg-pro.com / and there you go. My template folder with all my stuff inside of it is now in that right, mowg-pro.com / internet-advertising. Sorry, folder. And so that's one way to deal with it. But for those of you where some of the stuff inside that folder or set of folders is like way too big, you got videos that are like 22 meg or 220 meg or anything like that, you're thinking there's no way I can create a bunch of these subdomains and then just keep making copies into all of them all the time. That's nuts. So the question is, how do you deal with that another way, and a way that involves just pointing out the right files? And the answer is, it's not so hard at all. Here's what we would have to do. Since the MOWG-Pro profile is assuming that that's the domain, then we have to go do something slightly different with our file. And on our subdomain, that's this one here with no project tokens. Watch this. Everywhere where it says this, in other words, whatever those files are, watch this. I'm going to create a version. I want to put the actual domain in here, or if I don't want to put the domain in here because I want many different projects to use the same page, watch this. I'll do it a slightly different way. I'm going to open this thing, and I'm going to see if I can find something that doesn't exist for a var, right? So let me see if I can find something that is not in use. Let me just try Control H. Not that really. I just need to find all. So let me just try like var 7. Let me just see if there is a var 7. Find all. Okay, there's a var 70 and a 72 and 700 and stuff, but no var 7. Great. That means I can use a var 7, can I? So I'm just going to create a var 7 any old places I want. It doesn't matter where. var 7. Guess what I'm going to put in var 7? I'm going to put the root, and I'll just do the whole thing. If I want, it's not necessary, MOWGPro.com. Okay, and that is the root. And if it hyperlinks, right click, remove the hyperlink. There should not be a hyperlink in a CSV file. Okay, So now you can see it clearly and it's called var7. Excellent. Now that I did that, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick it on my index.html page in all the right places. So everywhere where it said this, Control C, Control H, Control V, Tab, guess what? Control V again. I'm just going to replace this bit with, you guessed it, var7. Replace all. There you go. So now var7 is the root. It's the actual proper regular root, which I can change simply from now on my vars file. I could even make copies of my var file, var sheet for different profiles. Copy, boom, boom, boom. And I could attach my different profiles to each one of these. And I give them a name to know which domain they belong to, make it easier than these crazy names like this. But this would be like 2-vars-dom1 for domain 1. .csv, except I wouldn't call it domain 1, I'd call it by the domain. And then inside there, I just have this be the domain 1, whatever that domain is, and then I'd have my domain 2, whatever that domain is. This is perfect for all your backlinking runs. That way, all these var files can read the same index file and they all fill in the same information correctly for each domain. So I can just create a new profile to say read index and that, and another profile says read index and that, another profile says read index and that, another one says read index and that. So obviously I'm going to name my profiles by whatever they're reading, you know, something like that, whichever domains that is, and that's the whole point. Okay, so that should make sense. That's really cool. Okay, and before I go into the rest of what's going on, let me tell you about a bug that we found out did exist right now with the original 2.1, besides this batch bug for subdomains, which you can test. It might still be working. Well, we got to figure it out. There is one more bug. The other bug is kind of a small one. It's certainly easy enough to deal with, and it's this. Say you created your index.html file, and you got your var sheet, whatever they're called, you know, for any project you were going to do. And then because you plan to put up not just the main domain, but you're going to backlink it on other domains or whatever, you've got it going to different domains. Now you might have a project token or you might not, or you're going to use the subdomain token or you don't. But what's going to be the issue now? The issue is sometimes you run it out and you run out a bunch of pages. They show up in your runs, except they don't look right. And when you check the source code, you find this. You find that the domain tokens don't resolve. They stay just like that. And if you have project tokens, they might not resolve either. They might just stay just right like this. And you think, what in the heck do I do now? Because you know you're doing everything right and it's still happening. Okay, here's what we found. If you use a domain token anywhere in your index.html file, and whether you use a project token or not, I don't think we've identified it, but I think it's still going to be the same. The project tokens won't resolve either, and they're not resolving, and yet you did everything right, so you're not sure what to do. Here's what it is. Here's how you fix it. Okay, this is a bug fix, and so just keep it in mind. It'll probably go away with the next version of the 2.1 or the 2.2 or the 2.11 or whatever we call it when we get it out. Here's the fix for it. Let's say I did not have a menu, and that's the point I want to make. Now this does have a menu, so let me create a copy of this. Copy, paste, okay? And so I just renamed the right one. I'll just say temporarily with menu, temporarily or fully, it doesn't matter. I can link to it either way on my profile. And let's say that this one, rename, is whatever I created. It was called like vars or anything. It doesn't matter. But let's say it does not have a menu token because you never created a menu for the thing. Delete. Okay? And as such, that would mean, wait, let me just do it the faster way. That was kind of, I want to remind you guys to hit the right buttons in the right order. And so I need to do that. Edit. So let's do this again. I want to make a backup. Copy, paste, okay, rename, backup, whatever, or normal. Okay. And in here, edit, let's just say, let me do a find and look for MEN. That's got to be close enough. There we go. Let's say there was no menu in here. WAP. Okay, no menu. Find next. Okay, no menu with a slash. Again, don't have double slashes anyway. Find next. All right, so you did your whole project. You ran it out. You've got it done, like on the MOWG-affiliate.com site that I keep using for an example. Let's say you did one of those, and you have your index and your vars, and you go to run multiple domain projects on it, and the domain and the project are not resolving. Here's what you need to do. Two vars, you open it and you create a menu. That's what it is. It needs a menu after all to resolve those tokens, because otherwise it doesn't have all the pieces to resolve all the tokens properly. How do you do it? It's pretty simple. Anywhere in the file, it can be at the end of the file, as long as it's touching the data. It's got to be here. You can't possibly put it here, or it's going to be broken, because this would be blank. Okay, so never create a blank column. Either put it here, or just whenever you open the folder, it doesn't really matter where you put it. Just put it somewhere. Right click any column header so you can insert a whole column. Guess what we're going to put in our column? A menu. So we're going to go boom, 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 MENU, and then drop down one. Now, just to see it better. Now you might think, I don't want a menu. The answer is you don't have to have one. You just need to satisfy the criteria. So we're going to put root, which means no subdomain, anything's going to be created. No print on the page is created whenever it puts pages inside the root. So we're going to make that the only possible choice. So it will not create any new characters on the page. Okay, that's good. So now that we do have a menu here, we of course need to put a menu in our index file too. They have to match. Now, since it's not going to produce a character at all, I can really put it anywhere. So I'll just put it somewhere out of the way just to teach you like good housekeeping. I might stick it in my meta name keywords, content equals, and I've got a keyword with a comma after it. Well, you know what? I'm just going to stick my menu right before the comma. Why? I mean, there's 1,000 ways to do it. I'm just going to do that though. That's one way that will work. So take a look at that. I now have the criteria satisfied. Menu is on the page physically. But guess what? When it goes producing the pages, it's going to ignore that. That produces no characters at all. So it's going to put a keyword and then immediately put a comma with nothing in between at all. No space even. Nothing. It's just going to be keyword, comma, keyword, comma, keyword. Okay? So it's perfect. And the reason it puts no spaces again is because we said root. And we had no other choices. Just root. Okay? Root in caps. No space before, no space after it. That's how it should look. And that's it. That's all we had to do to satisfy the criteria. Okay? Perfectly cool, simple, easy, out of the way fix. And all of a sudden, everything will resolve correctly. All right. So that's this stuff. Now we got two more cool things that happen with this version, the 2.1, that I'm going to show you. So if you're like completely blown away by the power you have now, you can create an infinite number of subdomains as fast as you want. You can create versions with all these subdomains, keep them up, add pages to all of them, and you can almost do them all on batch now, except we got to get that fixed. But the subdomains work perfectly fine for the batches. We just need to fix it for where there is no project at the end of that first tab, right? Because it expects to see, the batch files still expect to see something here. And if it doesn't see anything here, then it says, oh, can't do it. Okay, that's what the batch file is doing right now. All right, so that's going to be fixed real soon. But we have two more absolutely cool, awesome, you're going to love it, fixes, and they make your projects work completely on batch, on perfect autopilot now. Subdomain or sitemaps are perfected, And finally, the master-sitemap.txt variations everyone has been begging about, as well as interlinking the old sitemaps so they never get orphaned as you create new runs into the same folders. And I'm going to show you that physically by running out projects, and I'll do that on the next part of this trainer. I think this video's gotten pretty long, probably time to take an intermission, and then we'll come back and look at the last two great advantages that the 2.1 gives you now. And this is just crazy. It's awesome, and it's why the prices go up because the power is insane. There will probably come a time, because people are kind of right about this, that we need to price this out of the market of people and price it solely for companies, SEO companies, website companies, things like that. And those who want to resell it are going to resell it to companies. It's going to be priced high. We've had people over and over again ask us how it compares to some other small program out there, Master Crawler X, or some cool thing that comes out like a WSO on Warrior Forum. And then they come back and say, when I tested theirs and I took yours on the 10-day test trial to see how that worked, there's zero comparison whatsoever. You know, theirs is some quick little cool script, programming script they threw together that does something kind of neat. Yours is a full scale, fully flexible, dead solid, do whatever you want with it kind of solution that you can control in so many ways. There's no clear footprint or anything. You can do whatever you want. And that's awesome. It really is crazy. We'll get into more tips and tricks later on and show you how to do things like swap out an intro paragraph with an intro video. And so some of your pages, the intro paragraph's on the left with the intro video on the right. Other pages, it's swapped. And the purpose of that is pretty simple. That's so you can see if more people watch your video, if it's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. Same thing with your sign-up block for a newsletter. Do more people sign up to your newsletter if your newsletter's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, or higher or lower on the page? You can actually create the page variations that produce all these variations, so you can literally check and learn the best combinations. The pages where the video's on the right or the left or in the middle down below, and the sign up newsletters on the far left or the far right, above or below. When the font is Arial or Verdana or George, and the background color is green or red or blue, and the header image is the guy with a briefcase leaping in the air with the money raining down on him, he's laughing, or the old couple sitting in the sailboat, smiling at each other, holding hands, sailing off into the sunset. Whatever the winning combinations are, once you realize which ones cause the greatest conversions because you're tracking, you use visitor tracking and you see which pages lead to those conversions, then you can scrap all the other combinations off your site now that you know the winning combinations and produce thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands across as many domains as you want with the absolute winning conversion, the one that has 3 or 4 or 20 times the conversion rate. And that's the kind of power that you have with this tool that you really don't have with any other. Because again, anything you want to make a variable, you can make a variable, including entire blocks of HTML code, like 2 cells in a table if you want to swap them. Anything you want to make a variable, you can make a variable. All right, I'm going to bust off this and then come on with the last recording covering the last of the advantages from the 2.1. Okay,